Your truck got stolen?
My truck was stolen last week, yeah, and broad daylight, someone just stole it, and evil in the world.
Mount Airy?
Mount Airy, yes,
Evil in the world.
and so with that, I immediately have to find a replacement for you. And as I'm looking, I come across an ad here, and I immediately responded to you, of course, and that's how we met. And I read the ad, and the ad was very inspiring. It was very moving because the ad was very intricate in the way that it was written, because it explained more than just a desire to sell a truck. It was more of a mission that was trying to be accomplished, and the sale of the truck was just a small part of that, that needed to be. It's a small part of the mission was selling the truck. Now, of course, my interest was in the truck initially, but as I read the ad, I realized that the sale of the truck was just something, just a insignificant thing that meant a potential connection for me and a person that was on a mission to do well for others. And once I saw that and that caught my attention, I was very, very intrigued, very interested, because in my life, what I have had to do many times was help others and receive help from others, and be humble enough to receive the help from others, and be generous enough to offer the help whenever I see it's necessary. So when I saw that, I immediately replied to the ad, and I titled the response "Truck for Mission," meaning that I wanted to purchase a truck in order to help the person I had not met at the time accomplish their mission. If it meant just something as simple as me purchasing their truck. And so we did that. I came here, he sent me an address, I came to meet, and I checked out the truck, which, just as he explained, there was nothing, heading about his intentions for what he was selling. And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna buy this truck, more, even though I didn't really have all of the funds at the time, because, I was kind of not prepared to have to buy another truck, but it didn't matter, because my interest more was helping this person on their mission. And as he explained to me his mission and his calling, and for what he was doing, and how his life has changed from the person he was before, and I can relate, because myself, having been a totally different person before, I completely understood, and I wanted to do what I could, my part, which was buying that truck from him. And if that meant him being able to carry on with the mission that he is very committed to carrying out for the better of others, then yes. But I definitely want to do my part and purchase the truck. Even as now, I owe a small balance to him, but I definitely will get that to him as soon as I can. To get back on track here, I'm very I respect what he's doing here, his mission here, because it involves changing one's perspective and changing one's life around completely in order to in order to be a better vehicle of help to other people. In other words, he was at some point in his, maybe recently, maybe a little longer, he was blessed with an understanding of life different from what he had understood it before, and with that blessing, he couldn't hold it in. He wanted to help, and I believe that's when you created your app here that you're looking to expand. And I'll let you take it from here.
So I'm going to share a lot of what happened yesterday when we met during the sale, after the sale, how you were able to share with me
If God so clothed the grass of the field, which today is,
your faith,
and tomorrow is cast into the oven,
trusting in God to take care of you,
O ye of little faith.
and how that conversation came about is how you shared with me what you've been through, and that led to, I'm not going to get into the personal part unless you would like to do to so yourself. However, led to you explain to me about we're responsible for our energy, for our space, being responsible for that which we are a part of all the time. And the way you said it just seems so natural, like it's become a part of you, that I just had to share it. So that's why we're making this video here, and be responsible. And when you showed me how to do the Iron Man on the pull-up rings, the rings, how that came to be in the sale of a truck from posting on that Craigslist, where most, you hear so many stories that are not very inspiring. However, here you show me the Iron Man. Next thing you know, the Lord tells me to open my arms up and just share myself with everyone. And here we are doing it together, as a community. And I learned that from what he shared as well. So it's like we're brothers in Christ. And it's a matter of looking past the judgments, as you had said, and, being free and not resisting. And you said it in your way, I don't want to summarize it to water it down. Your personal story was powerful, and I know you're a man who's taking care of your family, and who knows what judgment people have from just looking, without having a conversation about somebody and sharing that wisdom. So he took time to share with me, and generously, and I see generosity in him, and I just want to invite him to share, with you himself. And this is not something he does, he's rehearsed for. It just happened, and this is the beauty of it. It's that God, it's how he works.
Very well put, I gotta say. But yeah, I don't, and I do want to emphasize it, that I, of course, have not rehearsed any of this. I met you about 24 hours ago, just looking to buy a truck again, and hearing your mission and what your intentions were, and of course, to use the money to buy it, selling the truck for it. Hear what it was for, what it was all about, was more important to me actually than the deal of the truck itself. So, but to touch a little bit more on what he was saying, I was at 11 years old. I was placed in a position unwillingly that I had to become the man of my household at the time at 11 years old, and the protector of my family, and provider as much as I could at 11 of my family up until now. And what that really, what that had.
Excuse me, just gonna move the microphone a little closer so I can hear you better. Just
what I had to do
powerful share
there, and the responsibility that left me with was extremely just requiring of me a lot. It required a lot of me, and I felt that it was my duty. I felt that I didn't have any other option. I felt that it was what I had to do, whether I liked it or not, whether I wanted to or not. I had to do it, and for the next 10 years or so, from 11 to early 20s, I would say, before my life changed again, where I had to become a different person. And that was only because that I got to a point where I was so convinced that anything that needed to be done, I had to do it myself. Up until this point of about 20 years old. I was very self-reliant and stubborn in my ways, and because of that, it took me a little while to see it, and I had to actually hit a certain point of ground zero, of a rock bottom, because I wasn't going to change unless that happened, unless I got to the point where there was absolutely.
Unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God, but unto them that are without.
Pardon that.
Until there was no other form of me being able to change. And so what happened was that around 19, 20 years old, I found myself in a position where I had nothing, and what I thought I had was no one to turn to for help. And right then, as I came to that realization, strangers, people that I didn't even know, the year before, opened their homes to me, opened their hearts to me, and helped me get back on my feet. And I never expected that. And they were people that I had never expected to be that generous towards me. They were of a different culture, a completely different race, and seeing that made me realize that it's you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't assume anything about anyone. You really have to be the best version of yourself to everyone that you meet, and not be judgmental towards anybody that you meet. You can't do that. You can't do it because majority of the time you're wrong. You're going to meet people that may seem a certain way on appearance, and as a result of them, they're completely different than what you expected them to be. And that's usually the case. And it's going to keep happening. You're going to keep seeing that because you're wrong on what your intuition is about what you perceive somebody to be. You can never judge a book by its cover. And that lesson is going to keep repeating itself too until you realize that. And it took me a while to realize that. But once I did, it changed me forever. I became a different person immediately. And I, to this day, will not think anything of somebody and draw a conclusion based on how they look. People could be so different, and for good or bad. You could have the most classy, well-dressed person in appearance be the most horrible person behind it all, and vice versa. The most, humblest people I've met didn't have a dollar to their name, didn't have a place to call home, didn't have, anything to offer other than their kindness, their understanding and their decency as a person. And once you see that and realize that should change you. That should make you a person that is receptive to all people and generous to all people, and eliminate any form of prejudice or discrimination whatsoever, because at the end of the day, anybody can discriminate against anybody, and whether you're upper class, lower class, any form of color or race, the opposite of what you are, you could be discriminated against, and it can be very unjust. And not until you're put in that situation or you realize that it's not the way to live. And once you realize that, you definitely want to change and be inclined to help people change and realize that themselves. So that was the situation I was in at 20 years old, and since then, I've been a very different person, as the hundreds of friends that I know and have made can attest to. I'm the kind of person to help anybody, and really tried my best to understand anybody because you never know what somebody has been through to make them the way that they are. And you can learn something literally from everybody, everyone. There's not a person on this earth that you can't learn anything from, whether it's good or bad or anything, you know. And there's nobody here that's perfect. So for you to think that you're better than anybody because of what you have or what you own or anything like that, or school you went to, or the education you received, or the connections that you have, it's not true. You're only in that position because life had opened its pathway to you to get to that point. You've not done anything on your own in this world unless you've helped others. That's the only time that you can actually be proud of anything that you've done is when you've done something to help someone else. Other than that, everything else was just chance, just by chance that, you know, you were able to get a job that paid you well enough to live in a nice area, or to meet the person that, you know, helped you get to where you're at. But it's not until you help somebody else that you've actually really done anything in life, anything worth mentioning. So with that, again, it's been a pleasure meeting you and
Thank you, Chris.
sharing your journey with me and your mission here, and I can see that, you know, you're very committed and determined to doing what you're doing.